Hi guys, I'm Dr. Vundi and I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be on the Fearless platform.
So for me as an adult, right, to be honest, sometimes I battle with understanding, could I be depressed? Could I be anxious? What am I really feeling, right? Is this a mental health issue that I should be worried about, right? So for you, how would you help a person like me understand, or the person watching, understand, okay, you need to go seek a professional's help, yeah.
So the first thing I always tell people is when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do before you reach out for your phone, because I know we all do that, when you wake up, just ask yourself, what's my temperature this morning? Where am I? How am I feeling? Like, just take a minute and do an internal check, because that will always tell you. And at the end of the day, do the same thing and ask yourself, how have I been today?
Right.
Have I been crying in the car as I'm driving to work? Have I been snapping at people? And then if you kind of like want to take it to the next level, you can even journal. Yeah, just write it down. It doesn't have to be like a very dramatic story. You can just write that I had a confrontation with so-and-so today. I was very angry today. I felt very low. And then at the end of the week, just kind of read everything you've written. Because remember I said it's about how you feel most of the days. And if you kind of see a trend, Monday, you've been crying. Tuesday, you abused somebody. Wednesday, you had another meltdown. Then you can kind of know, all right, there's something wrong with me. So I'm an advocate of journaling, Something else you can do is, there's a tool that we use, it's called a mood tracker. I'm sorry I didn't bring it with me. Maybe I can give it to you and you can like kind of attach it or link it.
Yes, I'd love to, yeah.
So it's a simple paper whereby it has the days of the week, and after every single day of the week, you need to indicate how you've been. So it has a key where like 1 is happy, 2 is sad, 3 is anxious, and 4 is suicidal. Then maybe you can write, for Monday, if you're sad, you write 1. Tuesday, if you're happy, you write 2. Then now at the end of the week, even at the end of the month, you can also look at it and see. So if you're like sad,
There's something.
you can tell there's something wrong with you.
Right. For me, I'll even be honest, I didn't understand mental health for a while. You know, even like when people would tell me, you know, I'm depressed, I would be like, what do you mean? You know, like, how do you get to that point? You know, and now as I'm becoming older, I understand, oh my God, I can really see why someone would get to that point of depression or that point of extreme anxiety, right? And I think, and there's so many people just like me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like the old me, because I am reformed, right? just like the old me who would think, how would you get depressed, right?
Like, what are you depressed about?
What are you depressed about? I remember having a conversation with someone and they were like, I mean, they were talking about one of their friends, right? And they were just like, how could she be depressed? Her life was so good, you know? And for such group of people who don't understand, for example, that other people are susceptible to going through these things, do you sort of like have a form of like education for them too?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the first education is just to be a student of life and to just look around in a more deeper way and kind of tend to ask people, how are you? And that question, every time when you ask somebody, how are you, they always say good, right? But be the kind of person who asks people, how are you really? And if you ask that question, you'll see that people are really going through so much. And if you're still the kind of person who doesn't understand about mental health and how things can get bad, I really want you to get out there and search and start reading about it, because it can be anyone, it can be you. And I'd like to just share something a bit personal for me and how I came to start with my journey. When I lost my dad in 2015, I was kind of like you. I was just be like, okay, what's mental health, you know? But when I lost my dad, I've never been so low. I could not cope. I mean, I was spiraling. And I never thought it could be me. And so my message to you is just start reading on what mental health is, because you really never know if it could be you, yeah? And even if it's not you, somebody around you could be struggling, and perhaps it would be better if you got informed so you can know how to be there for them in a more informed manner.
Right. So Dr. Vundi, what would you say are the most predominant mental illnesses that you have dealt with or have you seen happen mostly right now?
Commonly. So we have the commonest is depression, major depressive disorder. We also have a lot of anxiety and substance use problems. So if I can start with depression, it's characterized by a persistent low mood for most of the day for a period of about 6 months. So that's why I was saying earlier that it's important to kind of know what your mood is for the majority of the time, because it's not I'm sad for 1 week and then I have depression, right? So aside from the low mood for about 6 months, there's also problems with your appetite, for example. So people who are depressed will either have two things. They'll either have absolutely no appetite or they'll overeat. The other thing is sleep problems. We see a lot of people who are depressed who have insomnia. Some will also be like excessively sleeping. Somebody who just spends the whole day in bed. They can't wake up. They just want to be in bed. A feeling of worthlessness is also something that's there in depression, just feeling like you're not worth anything. And it's really important for me to mention, this is why sometimes people who are depressed can tolerate a lot of nonsense or being treated badly by people, being abused, because they don't think they're worth anything because they're depressed. So that can also be a telltale. If you see somebody who is in an abusive relationship and they're just tolerating it, they're kind of not getting out of the situation, that could be a sign that they're depressed. Wow. And lastly, people who are depressed might get to the point where they're suicidal. And this can take two forms. It can be an active suicidal ideation or a passive one. So an active one is where somebody is actively saying, I'm thinking about killing myself. A passive one is, it's kind of like sugar-coated. They'll say things like, if I was not here, you know, I'm sure you guys would be happier, or I'm sure you guys would be happy without me. So that's basically how the picture of a depressed person looks like.
What of an anxious person?
So with anxiety, the generalized anxiety disorder is a feeling of worrying for most of the day for a long period of time. Okay, so we're talking for more than 2 weeks. So it's like, Tracy, every single day, every waking moment,
you're just worried.
Every waking moment you're worried, even if there is absolute, you know, worry is a natural bodily function. Like if a lion jumps into the gate, worry is good because you jump into that like flight or fright kind of thing and you run away. It will give you the energy. But if there is absolutely, like, you just woke up and you're worrying, you're trying to sleep, you're worrying, you're driving, you're going to work, constantly worrying. That's how anxiety looks like. And it's characterized by feelings like your heart is just racing. You feel like a crushing feeling in your chest. Sometimes they say it's a chest pain. People will actually go to hospital and say, I'm sure I'm having a heart attack. And you'll do every single test known to mankind and they'll all be normal because it's a panic attack or an anxiety attack. So there's that feeling of your chest just being crushed. So those are just some of the symptoms of anxiety. And if anything that I'm mentioning is sounding familiar, please seek help. It's not okay for you to be feeling like this and then not doing anything about it. Please.
Are you happy with the awareness that has been going on?
I'm happy because so many people are starting to talk about it. So many people are even talking about their own personal experiences. Right. So I'm happy with where we're going, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And I think one target audience we've not yet reached is men. Men are still not talking about their mental health issues, and that's why men are committing suicide twice as more than women. Yeah, the suicide rate is 2 times higher than the rate for women. So men need to, we've not reached them yet. Another subset I feel we've not really reached is the children. So there's still more work that needs to be done. Let's create those safe spaces, because I think what they fear is the shame. But if we create safe spaces for men to feel like, if I talk about it, I'll be told that it's fine. No one will say I'm less of a man. No one will see me as less of a man. If we do that, if we make them feel safe, they'll talk about it. they'll definitely talk about it.
Hope you enjoyed that. I think it was really, really amazing just to be able to go there and see what's happening in the centers. Do you think we have a lot of mental health professionals in Kenya?
Oh, not enough.
Not
we have a
enough.
little over 100 psychiatrists, so that's nowhere close to being enough.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That is actually quite it's such a low number, right? I think also just going back to what you had said earlier is the fact that, you know, us as Kenyans need to start rallying and coming together for our doctors. We saw what happened during this COVID period when, you know, doctors came out and were like, you know what, we're actually not coming to work. And many people are like, why would doctors be so selfish, right? Why would they do that? But at the end of the day, they also want to see you and I get the services that we deserve. Because if doctors are not being given
what they need,
why do you think you'll be given what you need?
Absolutely, it will trickle down right back to you.
Exactly. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Vundi. I think
you're welcome.
It's so important to have this conversation. Even for me, I feel like I learn something new about mental illness every single day. Do you feel like that?
I learn a lot because I get to meet people who are very different, who have different opinions. So I'm also learning from you.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have any issue, like I said, don't downplay it. You'd rather go and be told, yeah, you're fine. Probably there was just something that affected your mood or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important for you to really just seek help if you feel like there's something that's amiss. And that's why we have the likes of Dr. Vundi, who will also give us her details so that in case you might want to talk to someone, right? You can always have your point of contact, like Dr. Vundi. So maybe Dr. Vundi, you can tell us how we can reach you, if you don't mind sharing your number, but please don't be doing other things.
So the way I prefer to be contacted is on email, and my email is drvundicaroline@gmail.com. But you can also find me on my socials, that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Dr_Vundi, and send me a DM, and I usually always try to reply them. And let's talk there. You can also follow me on my YouTube channel, which is called The Wellness Doctor. I hope to hear from you guys. Thanks.
So as you can see, there's so much information that you can gather online. But I think also don't be susceptible to just receiving information from everywhere, because sometimes too much information can really confuse you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can derail you from what really is the issue.
And that's a really important point. I think that a lot of people go online and start diagnosing themselves. They start reading symptoms and say, oh my gosh, I have bipolar. Please, if you're sensing that there is something off with you, don't use the internet, please come to us.
Exactly. Make sure to do that. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We appreciate the love, we appreciate the support. And more than that, I think our main goal here is just to impact people's lives, right? So thank you again for watching Fearless. Thank you, Dr. Vundi. Thank you, Tomoka Coffee House, for having us. They're located at Two Rivers Mall. There's also where we are right now is in Westlands. Just Koyo roundabout Yasarit Center, just there, you will see it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And make sure to go find more information from the likes of Dr. Vundi and help yourself, right? And be there for yourself. But most importantly, I think also staying positive and keeping a healthy mindset would be a great start, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, thank you guys. So see you guys next week.
Bye.